I'm Jason Elliott. I'm the Associate Head of the Law School at Ulster University. And what I'm here to talk about today for about 10 or 15 minutes is our new graduate entry LLB degree. So hopefully my slides are showing. I'm going to go through those slides and give you an insight into what the degree hopes to do, what it hopes to give to graduate students, and how that may be of particular importance or particular intrigue to those who are coming from an international market. So the big thing about the graduate entry LLB degree is that it is an accelerated LLB degree. So ordinarily, LLB degrees are a 3-year program, whereas this is condensed and accelerated into 2 years, and it allows for all of the core law modules to be taken. And that allows for qualifying law degree status to be obtained in various common law countries, but primarily at this stage, that is concentrated in the UK, would that be Northern Ireland and England and Wales. In terms of the law school at Ulster, we've received some very good news recently, and the Ulster Law School was in the top 20 of law schools in the United Kingdom, as stated by the Times UK rankings. And displaying that from a Northern Ireland perspective, that puts us as number 1 out of 2. So that puts us in a fairly good position in terms of where we are recognised both nationally and internationally. And we hope that that will continue as we roll out this graduate entry law programme. In terms of the expertise of the staff who will be teaching these students, it's clear that there is expertise in the legal field, as evidenced from our recent REF results, both in REF 2021, but also previously in REF 2014. And what we could see from that is that there is sustained success in terms of world-leading research. And we can see that from the statistic on the slide there. So it really will be a fantastic offering that's being given to the prospective students that you will be advising, because it's not only a top 20 law school, but we're also excellent in terms of the research. So it ensures that the modules and topics that they're covering are contemporary, up to date, and will give them the best footing for when they've graduated and want to go into the legal world in whatever capacity that may be. So recently, in terms of September 2022, we moved the core basis of the law school from our Jordanstown campus to the city centre campus in Belfast. And this ensures that all of the teaching spaces and equipment are up to date. And there are also bespoke law spaces that students will be able to use through their degree and through the 2-year graduate entry degree. And what you can see on the slide here is you can see the bespoke moot courtroom, which is kitted out with all of the latest technology in terms of recording equipment and in terms of the screens throughout the room that you can't quite see in that picture, that allows you to show evidence when you're questioning witnesses or when you're making statements to the judge. So the students do get the opportunity throughout their program to have elements that are more skills based rather than just knowledge or theory based, and that allows for those graduate attributes that we would look for in our students coming through our programs to be enhanced. What we've seen in terms of the programs that we currently run is that the graduate prospects of our students are incredibly successful, and that is part of why Ulster Law School is top 20 in the UK at the moment. So in terms of the actual course itself, the graduate entry LLB program, as I stated at the very beginning, I guess the unique aspect of this compared to other LLB programs is that it is accelerated, and it's accelerated for graduates. And I think that's an important thing to outline at this stage. This is for students who have already done an undergraduate degree and they would then want to transfer into law. And what that allows, by virtue of having that graduate degree, is it allows them to accelerate their program so that they can cover, as a full-time student, the core law modules within a 2-year period rather than the normal 3-year period. And as a result of completing the program, and because it covers all of the core law modules, it allows for that law degree to be recognised as a qualifying law degree for those who wish to practice in Northern Ireland and England and Wales, i.e. if the individual student wants to go and sit the exams to become a solicitor or to become a barrister, then they will be eligible to do so. In terms of the international market, there are exemptions that can be sought in some common law countries. So there can be recognition in the likes of Canada, for instance, in terms of the entrance exams to go into the legal profession, which means that they have to sit fewer entrance exams compared to those who would not be coming with an LLB degree. So it really does allow for that to be an accelerated process into practice in common law jurisdictions outside of the UK as well. So in terms of what we're looking for prospective students, the admissions criteria are on the slide. The big point that I would say is here is in terms of it is for graduates. It's for individuals who already have an undergraduate degree, and that can be in absolutely any discipline. So it doesn't have to be law or legal related or in the social sciences. It may be somebody who has a degree in something completely separate, maths or engineering, for instance, but they're wanting to make that shift in their career, or that shift in terms of their study, and they can move across into law. So they have to have a second-class honours degree in any discipline, and they will be eligible for admission. And then there's also the English language requirements of having an IELTS score of 6 with no band score less than 5.5, which is fairly standard in terms of the courses that we would offer within the law school here at Ulster University. So in terms of the actual structure, what is the student going to be doing? It's set out on the slide in terms of the year 1 on the left-hand side and year 2 on the right-hand side. Whilst it is quite an intensive course because it's covering the core law modules for a qualifying law degree, that being said, it still allows for some elements of optionality. The student can choose modules that they're, let's say, more interested in, or they have a particular aspect of their career trajectory that they want to go into. So they do the core modules, such as you'll see there in year 1, there's criminal law, court, public law, European law, property law. But you can have some elements of optionality there. For example, there could be alternative dispute resolution, which is quite big in terms of the international market, especially in the Middle East. At the moment, there's a lot of interest in alternative dispute resolution through the likes of mediation and arbitration. So that may pique the interest of particular applicants thinking about taking this graduate entry course. And then there's more optionality in year 2. So there are those core modules, as you can see, there of equity and trust, contract law, evidence, and land law. But in each of those semesters, there's one optional module, and there's actually about a choice of 7 or 8 modules in those semesters that the students can choose from. And they would range from commercial type modules to human rights type modules. So there is an element of choice that is given to the student despite the intensive nature of the program, and that may be useful in terms of graduate prospects and those graduate attributes that we would expect of those coming through our programs. So lastly, so we've come sort of through the process, the admissions and the course structure in a very quick fashion, and I appreciate it is very quick. I also want to give an opportunity for any questions that may be out there. But the last thing is, where do our graduates go? And this is something that we've scored quite highly on in relation to those league tables about our graduate prospects. And in terms of the students that come through our law degrees at present, there are wide and varied amounts of careers that those students would go into. Of course, at the top is legal practice, and that is still one of the main pools that brings an individual into a law degree. So we would have a good cohort of our current undergraduate students on the 3-year program that would go into legal practice across various jurisdictions. So, for example, in Northern Ireland and England and Wales, they make the most sense, it seems, in terms of that 3-year undergraduate degree that we have. But there are other pathways in which students can go into other common law jurisdictions, and it's easier for that transfer over. In terms of the USA, specifically the New York bar exam would be one that students would regularly take. There's Canada, and there's also Australia in terms of where our graduates have gone, and they've gone into practice in those jurisdictions. But a law degree at Ulster doesn't only set you up for thinking about going into practice or going into practice, and that's evidence from the range of other avenues that students have taken and graduates have taken. So many of our graduates have gone into business, whether that's into management in those business or into or setting up businesses themselves, because the graduates that come out from an Ulster law degree have a range of skills that would set them up in terms of being able to help in terms of that business acumen, because that would be in core part of our modules in terms of having that, what we would term as that commercial awareness. Other areas of the public sector, the civil service, in Northern Ireland and beyond, in England and Wales and London and Whitehall, we've had graduates that have gone there and they've advised the higher echelons of government. And then lastly, what we have is the three at the bottom: non-governmental organizations, politics, and civil society. So what you see there is we have a range of options, and that is by no means an exhaustive list. There are a range of other options that our students have taken and our graduates have taken. So it really demonstrates the importance of the law degree at Ulster to us as a law school and as a university, but it also demonstrates the skills and the knowledge that the graduates come out with. And the graduate entry program will allow for those students who have a graduate degree to come on to that 2-year program and gain the knowledge and the skills in an accelerated way so that they can kickstart their career within law. And that career in law could be in practice, but it could be in various other industries as well. So that brings me to the end of what is a very quick presentation, and I appreciate that. I'm with Rory O'Connell, Professor Rory O'Connell, the Director of Partnerships and Development within the Law School at Ulster University, and we're here, and I think we'd be happy to deal with any questions if you have them at this point.
Was saying, and I suppose, and it's really just by way of amplification. I mean, what Jason said about our law degree and the commitment to embedding practical skills and employability skills. Our staff are constantly innovating and thinking about how we provide better support and more challenging and stretching learning experience for our students. So we have all kinds of initiatives like supporting peer-to-peer support among students through our past program, through including practical skills like mooting and negotiations, through a recent initiative developing podcasting as a facility within the school, to being creative in terms of how we assess students. So we have unseen exams and we have seen exams and we have essays, but we also have people who use posters and people who use moot courts and presentations as part of their assessment regime as well. So our staff are really constantly thinking about how do we improve the learning experience for our students. I think that the bit about research is also important, and I used to be the research director for law, so that's something very close to my heart, and that is really critical, right? So the people, for instance, that we have teaching social security law are people who have drafted reports that have influenced the content of Scotland's innovative social security legislation, for instance. The people we have teaching human rights and related subjects are people who are actively involved in trying to amplify the voices of communities that have been terrorized in different parts of the globe. So our teaching is research-led and research-informed, and we have really great scholarship going on. And all of this is tied together by the partnerships that we have, because we have excellent relationships with all of those different types of organizations Jason was mentioning in terms of where our graduates go to, with public sector bodies, with international organizations. I mean, one of my colleagues is in Geneva this week, organizing side events at the United Nations. We have links with law firms, many of whom provide support in terms of prizes and placement opportunities for our students. So that's really just to add a bit more in terms of all that Jason was saying about the quality of legal education at Ulster.